like, and subscribe. I apologize for keeping you guys waiting, but it's time. Ronnie from the Players Club. Yes, now hopefully you guys have already saw the Junior episode. Legendary rant. Okay? We break down Junior's life before the movie. Then we, talk about the movie, of course, right? If you haven't watched it yet, please go check that one out, right? And that's the first installment of the Players Club series, right? Now we're on the second installment, Ronnie. Okay? And after this, of course, I will be giving you guys Ebony, Diamond, of course, Dollar Bill, and then the conclusion, which is the court case and everything else, afterwards, right? Now, Players Club is what we like to consider a cult classic, right? So we get it. The first time you saw this movie, you probably didn't like Ronnie because she's written as a villain, right? But understand this, though. Over the years, people watch this movie and Ronnie has gained a fan base. And I mean, if you've never been a fan of her, I get it. Throughout this movie, she does some stuff that morally just isn't right. But see, I'm Rants and you're you. And I'm not saying that as if I'm better than you or anything. No. See, you made the mistake. When you watched this movie, you sat and judged Ronnie on her actions that took place in the movie without even knowing her background and why she acts the way she does. But you clicked on this video, right? And I guess this is the part where we start from the beginning, right? So hopefully you guys watched the Junior video, but I spoke on it already, right? Ronnie's father is a pimp, Ronald Mathis, also known as Pretty Boy Roy. And like we mentioned before, this is the only picture of him and both of his kids together. That's Ronald Mathis Jr., of course, also known as Junior. And then you got the firstborn, Ronte Mathis, also known as Ronnie. Yeah. And you got to understand, Pretty Boy Roy would occasionally take his kids out with him on that track and he would collect his money. And just like we mentioned before, Junior was attracted to the lust. He looked at the females, but Ronnie, on the other hand, Ronnie, she was attracted to the money. I guess this is similar to like Vince McMahon, right? You have a son, and although he may get thrown off the cage for you, he won't be taking over the company because, daddy's little girl is a real saying, and your daughter is probably the one that's just like you. And that's the case with Pretty Boy Roy and Ronnie. And I remember Ronnie telling me, I remember the first day I asked my father, Daddy, why them girls give you money whenever you ask for it? And I remember him telling me, hey, baby, look, in this world, closed legs don't get fed. Those girls They using what they got to get what they want. And baby girl, I'm just the one printing out the receipts. See, Ronnie was soaking that pimp talk up. She grew up around it her whole life. And I mean, some of them nights, Junior in the back sleep. He just had his McDonald's Happy Meal. He sleep in the back. Ronnie's still up. Understand, pretty boy Roy might hop out that car and lay a pimp hand on a lady. Ronnie is witnessing all of that at an early age. Understand that. Okay? But what you don't know about Ronnie, see, pretty boy Roy, he would host players' balls, right? And Ronnie was in charge of making the players punch at an early age, right? So I know, and I get it, right? You like, Rants, really? You really about to go there? Like, yeah, I got to, because this is Ronnie. This is Ron's hey, Mathis, But understand, Ronnie, she's spiking the punch, because that's what she was told to do. She didn't know. She was told to do that. Pretty boy Roy was like, yeah, nah, you see this bottle? Pour this in the punch. Everybody going to come to this party. They're going to get a cup of punch from you. Okay? And Ronnie like, Dad, but how do I know if I poured enough? He turned around and was like, oh, Ronnie, they're going to come back and get another cup of punch from you. See, and you'll know if you poured enough, because on that second cup, they're going to leave something called a tip, which is cash money. Every time they do that, you pick that up, you place it in your pocket, and you come see me at the end of the night. And by the end of the night, Ronnie made a lot of money. A lot of money, right? And pretty boy Roy, he looked at his daughter. Was like, hey, baby girl, I see you made a nice batch of punch tonight. Well, I see you over there counting that money. Why don't you just go ahead and pass that over to your father? And Ronnie walked over there and started to give the money to her. Then she thought about it and was like, nah, Dad, this is my money. I made this. And he looked at her with a big grin on his face and was like, baby girl, you get it. Oh, you get it. Now understand the game, though, baby. Understand the game. See, I just taught you how to make money, baby. So I could never buy you another toy. I could never buy you another purse. She's looking confused. She's like, Dad, but why not? You've been buying me everything my whole life, And he lets her know, like, Ronnie, baby, I just taught you one of the best gifts in the world. How to make $1 out of nothing. So if I was to continue to buy you things, baby girl, you'll depend on another man to buy you things when I'm gone. But Ronnie, see, now you know how to make your own money now. And don't get it twisted, baby girl. You look nice. You can still get a guy to buy you things. But guess what? You'll always have your own money in your pocket. And baby, that's game. And Ronnie is soaking this up. You guys just don't know she's soaking it up, right? And she's like, okay. And understand this. That was just the first players' ball that Ronnie was in charge of the drinks. But she would later go on to take her hustle more seriously. See, after she made that first couple $100 that first night, she realized, like any hustler, oh, I need to learn how to make more drinks. And her father was like, hey, baby girl, why don't you read this bartender's book? He had his daughter studying to become a bartender at the age of 14. And I mean, I guess this is the time we touch and we make the Junior under the bed scenes connect, right? I guess we can touch on that real quick. Well, Ronnie always had money in her pocket. She always looked nice. See, pretty boy Roy raised her right. She looked nice and she attracted those guys with the money. Yeah. Different dudes, but they all had it. And you can say she was fast, but she was using what she had to get what she wanted. Got to understand that. She's her father's daughter. So, of course, she had these dudes in her house. She's sneaking them in, and Junior is in the closet. He's under the bed being a creep. Ronnie, of course, doesn't know this, right? Like I mentioned before, if just in case you guys didn't watch it, right? Junior and Ronnie have different mothers, okay? But Ronnie, of course, doesn't know this, right? But nonetheless, Ronnie's a popular person. She graduates high school and that goes to her prom, of course. And instead of college, because why would she waste her time with college? No, she's about a dollar bill. Pun included, right? But she's about $1, right? So, naturally, she becomes a bartender. Hustler, right? And her drive, right? And the fact that she's been making Long Island iced tea since she was 15. She has way more experience than the average bartender, right? She becomes the head bartender at Slappy Hour, a poppin' bar right down the street from the Players Club. They just didn't talk about this in the movie, right? Because it wasn't really relevant, right? But she's the head bartender. Let me tell you how she even becomes that. Now, I don't want to give away the bartender hustle, but I gotta let the people know how she was coming up, right? Now, granted, bartenders, bar owners, and alcoholics all know that there is 16 shots of alcohol in 1/5 bottle, okay? Ronnie knows that. She already knew that early age, right? Now, Ronnie, and at the time this was in the 90s, Ronnie is taking bottles of Bacardi, Absolute, Hennessy, Remy, right? And when she gets on her shift, she'll let her customers know, like, yeah, look, we running shot specials today, $5 a shot. And it beats the $8 that the bar would normally charge you, right? Oh, she's coming up. She's coming up. She's selling out. She becomes a popular bartender. Stone cold hustler. And the money is good. It's good money. It's great money, right? But like any hustler, you realize it's only 24 hours in a day. And if you could figure out a way where you could have a little bit more time on your hands and possibly make the same amount, or if not more money, you'll be open to it, right? Well, let's insert Trix in, because Trix is a regular at Slappy Hour, right? You guys don't know, but she's in there all the time, ordering the lemon pepper hot wings, running the shot specials up with Ronnie. She's famous for getting about 6 shots off Ronnie, throwing her about a quick 40, 50, tipping her too. And Ronnie like, damn, girl, You come in here all the time. You turn up. You getting crunk. They using different terminologies, right? Different terminologies, right? You in here getting crunk. you know, you drink half the bottle of the Bacardi I had. What's up? Like, what's up, Tricks? And she like, hey girl, well, I've been working at the Players Club, She like the Players Club, that's the strip joint, right? She like, yeah, and I get good money. Pulled out that wad. Ronnie saw that, was like, what? Was like, yeah, all you gotta do is dance. I mean, granted, girl, you work here for what, 8 hours a day? Making drinks for people? Huh. Ain't no damn way I'ma do that. Girl, I can do a lap dance over at the Players Club, and just know, my tip's gonna go a long way, if you get what I mean. And Ronnie like, I like that slick talk. You remind me of my father. So, how much money you talking? Trix was like, turn around real quick. Ronnie turned around. She was like, yeah, you can meet Dollar Bill tonight. You might be able to start tomorrow. She like, Dollar Bill? Who's that? Trix like, oh, that's the club owner. He from Chicago and whatnot. Good dude, though. He'll put you on, though. I can introduce you. And now Ronnie's, thinking about it, right? Trix walks in the next day. Order her wings and whatnot. Was like, yeah, Ronnie, I thought you was a hustler. I made this last night. Ronnie like, forget it. It's the last Long Island iced tea she making. She goes over to the Players Club. Hollers at Dollar Bill. Dollar Bill in there counting his money. He see Ronnie walk in. He like, oh Lord, where you come from? So, he started breathing hard. Dollar Bill got asthma, right? So Dollar Bill like, what's your name, baby? And Ronnie like, my name's Ronnie. I was interested in dancing, at the Players Club and whatnot. Dollar Bill like, turn around for me. Turn around for me. Oh Lord. Yeah, you can start working tonight. And the first night Ronnie gets in there, right? So Ronnie, of course, accepts the job. First night she gets in, right? She noticed Trix pulling a younger dancer to the side. And they, she was minding her business, but she overhears them. She like, yeah, where my money at? You did the little side party. Trix pulled out a razor on her. Right? This girl, puts on her clothes, goes to the car, and gets Trix money, right? And Ronnie like, what's that about? What's all that about? And Trix put Ronnie right on the game. Now, granted, right, I know you probably thinking, nah, Trix tried Ronnie. No, because Ronnie already was hip to the game. Like, who? I see, because her father, so she was like, what's going on? She was like, yeah, I got this little thing on the side, right, where we do side parties, right? It's just like, baby, it's just like if you're a mechanic, you can work for Jiffy Lube, but you can also change oil on the side. And baby, I change oil on the side too. And Ronnie like, oh, I like that, but you pulled the razor out on Shorty, like, what's going on? She was like, yeah, I it's a middleman finder's fee. Ronnie didn't even let her finish. Was like, I need in on that. Okay? Granted, this is when Ronnie and Trix was in their prime. Okay? By the time the movie starts, they have already been in the Players Club for years. And you can see the liquor every night. The drugs every night. It's wearing on them. That's why they're older in the Players Club. That's why they look much older than the girls in there. This is why they get hate. We're about to, go through all that now. I guess, actually, this is a perfect time to get into the movie. How about that? Okay, because I gave you guys the background of Ronnie now, right? And now it's time. So you guys remember, Diamond's working at the shoe store and she's dealing with two rude customers, whom just so happen to be Ronnie and Trix, okay? And Ronnie's like, hey, ain't you supposed to help me put these on? And Diamond's like, oh, you need help? Ronnie's like, yep. And while Diamond is helping, Trix asks, she's like, hey, how much money you make working here? And Diamond's like, I make enough. And Ronnie's like, how much is enough? Because they couldn't pay me to smell other people's feet all day. And then she says, you can get a lot more money than what you making here. You just got to use what you got to get what you want. Yeah, stop settling for this chump change. And Diamond, like, she don't understand pimp language, right? She's like, well, what is that supposed to mean, And Trix is like, use what God gave you, honey. And Diamond's like, hold on, so y'all some prostitutes? And Trix is like, hell nah. We dancers at the Players Club. And Diamond, of course, is interested, right? And the next time we see Ronnie is after Diamond gets the job, of course, at the Players Club, similar to how Ronnie got it years earlier, right? And Ronnie walks up on her and slaps that ham, of course. She's like, what's up, new booty? You ready? And naturally, Diamond is nervous, right? And Ronnie's like, you just gotta relax. Everybody else in here knew. Every girl was nervous their first night, but they got used to it. Then Ronnie asks, like, yeah, you drink? Pass her a drink. Then she's trying to give her pointers, right? She's like, look, Diamond, just look at yourself in the mirror and dance real sexy to the music. Just pretend you at home in the bathroom by yourself. Diamond asks, well, that's it? And Ronnie's like, yeah, that's it. Now drink as much as you can handle as fast as you can. You might as well get faded. Then Diamond sees something similar to Ronnie's first experience in the club, right? Ronnie walks right over to little Kiki over in the corner. She grabs her, was like, yeah, where my money at from the party the other night? I want my money and I'm not playing with you. Then shoves her, right? Then she look at Diamond. She's like, all right, come on, let's go, ho. And, Diamond say, huh? Because, she's been a civilian. She's not used to being disrespected. But Ronnie's like, nah, you need to get used to that because that's what they're going to call you upstairs. All right? So let's go, ho. And then we go upstairs to the actual club, right? And Ronnie is doing what they call in the stripper world, holding Diamond's hand. She's walking with her on her first round around the club, right? And we're introduced to Myron. And don't worry, we're going to dwell more on him in the Diamond story, of course. But Ronnie's already hip. She's like, yeah, so what, you want to dance, Myron? And then she looks at Diamond and she's like, what you waiting on? Get your money. And Diamond, she wastes her time with that little lame slow grind to the classic Uncle Luke. But I got beef with trifling hoes who like to use their teeth. True brother up. Behind closed doors, they need to learn how to hump. I like to hump fast, but whatever you do, girl, don't grab my... Like, y'all know how they used to rap back in the day. Don't lie, right? And you got Diamond slow dancing to that, right? Wasting her time, right? But nonetheless, the way this movie is written is legendary because the next time we see Ronnie, right, she's walking inside of the Players Club with Trix and Diamond accidentally bumps into them. And Ronnie says, excuse you? And Trix say, yeah, you better watch where you going. As if there's an issue. And maybe there is. Now the next time we see Ronnie, she's hitting a black and mild with Trix, of course, and they're peeping dollar bill, giving Diamond, little cousin Ebony, the strip club speech that he gives to all the girls he's about to hire. Basically saying, oh, I need my 30%. I need my money. Dollar bill, right? And in the next scene, we see Diamond talking to the bartender at the club. And she asks Diamond if she wants something to drink. And Diamond says, no, girl, I don't drink no more. And the bartender says, that's right, good for you. Then she asks Diamond if she talked to Ebony last night. And Diamond says, no, she didn't even come home last night. And the bartender was like, I'll let her tell you. But she was definitely with Ronnie and Trix. And you know how they get down. You should have never told everybody that was your cousin. You knew they was going to try her. you know. And now Diamond, of course, is talking to Ebony, and she's like, look, I told you about Ronnie and Tricks. And Ronnie just so happens to walk in and slaps Diamond's ham. You know, she tell her, you better watch that big thing, referring to the ham, of course, right? And Diamond appears to be uncomfortable. I mean, and Ronnie walks over to her locker and calls Ebony over. And Diamond interjects and she says, no, she's going upstairs. And then Ronnie winks at Diamond. And Diamond looks disgusted. But we still don't know why, right? Then we see Ronnie dancing. Then you see the lame DJ hating, saying, oh, that's Ronnie. She's a cowgirl, but she likes to hang with them cowboys. And Ronnie, of course, is going on, forget you. He's like, forget you. You know, and then we see Tricks come out to, is there some moles in this house? There's some moles in this house. There's some moles in this house. There's some moles in this house. But everybody is leaving, unfortunately, right? And, you know, this caused Tricks to have a famous crash out in this movie. Y'all ain't nothing. Y'all mothers ain't nothing. Y'all kids ain't gonna be nothing. Forget all y'all with a 6-stick. You know. And then next time we see Ronnie, right? Ebony's on her lap, drunk. And Tricks asks Ebony, like, yeah, you doing Junior bachelor party? And Ebony asks, who's Junior? Ronnie's like, oh, that's my little brother. Then Ebony asks, you know, Tricks if she was doing it. And Tricks like, yeah, I need the money. I'm going to do it. So, of course, Ebony agrees to do Junior's bachelor party. And Ronnie tells her, you know, good looking out. I'll let you know when it is. And then Diamond walks in. She's like, excuse me. And Ebony walks off on Diamond. And then Ronnie and Tricks walk past. And Tricks called Diamond a big head hoe. So it's evident there's an issue, right? Now, when Diamond was saving Ebony from the train that was about to get ran on her, you guys remember that scene, right? Diamond was trying to talk some sense into Ebony, right? Ebony was like, everybody can't go to college. Some of us got to use what we got to get what we want. And Diamond says, please stop with the Ronnie Ho quotes. Like, damn, Ebony, you don't even have your own identity. You know, you only been here for 3 damn weeks. But what did Ebony say? Well, you caught up already. Yeah, Ronnie already told me what happened between y'all two. And where is the beef coming from, right? Well, while Diamond is driving, right, she's having a flashback of something she clearly shouldn't be able to remember, okay? Seriously, she should not be able to remember this, right? Because of, well, let's just get into it, right? We see Tricks and Ronnie talking to some older Tricks, right? An older gentleman, we'll say, right? And one of them offers $600. This is 1998, right? Which is equivalent to $1,226 in today's money, right? And he offers that money for Ronnie to, let's say, go down on Diamond while she's passed out, right? Now understand this, okay? Diamond drank a little too much, she passed out, right? And Ronnie is a dollar sexual. Ronnie works around and smells women all day. She knows an attractive lady, but you got to understand this was for money and a show for the gentlemen. So we find out where the beef stemmed from, because of course Ronnie took advantage of that situation. Drunk witch. Y'all remember, right? Y'all remember? Then the next time we see Ronnie, she's hitting a tree in that nice red whip talking to Ebony, telling her, look, I know your cousin probably said some things about me, but this ain't the same thing. See, I worked with these clients before, and you're my protege, so I know they're going to take a liking to you. So what's up, rookie? You trying to make this money? I mean, the Players Club is cool, but those tricks want you to do too much for that $10 lap dance. Bend over, stick your leg out, bankhead bounce for me for only $10. Now you can be like Diamond if you want. You know, she's been here for 4 years and she's still driving a Honda Accord. And you scary as hell. You bony. You'll probably only make enough to buy a Honda Civic. Now, I've been babysitting you. But I'm going to tell you something. In this business, closed legs don't get fed, sweetie. Just let her know off GP, right? And Ebony's scared, She asks, well, is it going to be men in there or women? And Ronnie like, look, I'm not trying to turn you out. I'm just trying to turn you on to some game. And then they walk in, right? And Ronnie gets to the door and the host answers. He tells Ronnie, he's like, look, I'm glad you came. I already spoke with Dollar Bill and Trix is already here. And Ronnie says, that's cool. I got a new money maker with me. And then we see that they're at a federal agent's party, right? And Ebony's telling Ronnie, oh, nah, they the police. I can't dance in front of these old white folk. And Ronnie tells her, girl, you tripping. These white folk got green money. And now we get to see Ronnie changing oil on the side in a sense, right? Ronnie is conducting a private party. And Ronnie walks out and she's like, all right, you white mother, all eyes on me. If I catch you looking at anything else, I'm going to beat you like a runaway slave. Then she gets on the table and starts dancing to the Foxy Brown. I know you guys remember this classic scene, right? And she's getting endless money. And she lets them know, look, I ain't taking nothing off till y'all toss more money. And then she noticed one dude over there grabbing more food. And Ronnie wasn't having it. She was like, stop the music. What are you doing? Didn't I say all eyes on me? And dude says, yes, ma'am. And Ronnie says, bring your butt over here. What you think? You special or something? The dude's like, no, ma'am. What you think, you better than everybody in here? The dude's like, no, ma'am. Then Ronnie said, oh, I get it. You think because you a low-life pig, you too good to watch me. Every time I come in here, you the same one starting problems. So you know what that means, don't you? Then he says, yes, ma'am. Then Ronnie says, assume the position. And then proceeds to hit him 3 times Omega Sci-Fi style, right? And every time she hits him, right, he's saying, I'm black and I'm proud. And Ronnie says, you lucky it's Black History Month. Which is a lie. They messed up the timeline in that movie, right? Because if you guys remember, Ebony came down 3 weeks before Diamond's college final. So it wasn't February. But nonetheless, right, we see Ronnie dropping off Ebony after the party. Of course, they probably had Waffle House as well. And the next time we see Ronnie, she's with Trix, of course. And Diamond was just crying. She was talking to the bartender because she just broke up with Lance and she's being judged at school for working at the strip club. And Ronnie tells Diamond, she's like, hey, ask Ebony if she's still going to do Junior's party for me. And Diamond walks off, and of course she says, which? And of course y'all know what she really say, right? And then remember, Uncle Luke walks in, right? So Dollar Bill hit that green alarm so they can get their money, right? And Ronnie stops and asks the one girl, Vanilla. She was like, hey, could you do Junior's bachelor party? And that girl was like, hell no, I'm not doing Junior's bachelor party. You better get somebody else. Now, the next time we see Ronnie is when Diamond is downstairs because she's hiding from her teacher. Remember, her teacher popped in the Players Club. And Ronnie actually peeped that whole interaction. So Ronnie saw that Diamond was at a weak point, right? And she goes down there and she's like, what's the matter, baby girl? And Diamond's like, don't touch me. And Ronnie says, didn't we start off as friends? And Diamond says, yes. And then Ronnie comes off, aggressive. She's like, now look. I'm not one of these tricks in here. I run this damn club. Anything I want in here, I get. Now, you will either give it to me or I'm going to take it like I did last time. Implying to the grape that we mentioned, right? And she attempts to grape Diamond for the second time, right? Now, while all this is happening, an altercation occurs that we'll touch more on in the Dollar Bill episode, right? But that caused a bang out in the club. Okay, and it messed up the place, right? And Trix run downstairs to tell Ronnie, they're popping off upstairs. But she sees Ronnie on Diamond, and then she has that little sinister smile. I always hated that scene, right? Like, why are you getting off on that? But it's Trix, right? And the next time we see Ronnie is at Junior's bachelor party. And she's in the back room on the phone with Ebony. And Junior's like, hey, Ronnie, what's up with the strippers? My people's getting restless. And Ronnie says, Junior, I'm on the phone with her right now. She's trying to get a ride. Remember, she got the West Coast accent out of nowhere. She's trying to get a ride. And then she was like, hey, since you got questions, answer this one. Where's my money for this party? And Junior's like, what, you don't trust your own brother? Or something like, come on now. And Ronnie's like, no. Now run me my money. And Junior's like, damn, it's my party and you charging me? And like I said before in the Junior episode, this scene right here lets you know that they're not as close as you may think they are. You know, they do not have the same mothers. You got to understand that, right? And Junior gives her the money, of course, right? And she's like, yeah, man, tell that girl to hurry up, man, you know. And Ronnie talking to Ebony, she like, look, hey, everybody's waiting for you, so hop on a cab or something, you know. And mind you, Ronnie's in the room when Ebony arrives, right? So Ronnie walks out right as she's getting into it with Reggie, Clyde, and Junior, right? And of course she guides her into the room, and Junior's like, hold up, where you going? And Ronnie stops Junior and like, no, you hold up, like she's about to get changed, it's gonna be a minute. God damn, right? And now Ebony in the room, and she telling Ronnie like, damn girl, they some hounds, you know, because they are in fact pony hounds, right? And Ronnie like, tell me about it, but you gonna be cool, they been asking about you all night. And Ebony like, well, where the other girls at? And Ronnie like, I don't know, I can't keep up with them hoes. And Ebony like, huh, well, you gonna dance with me, right? And Ronnie's like, what I look like dancing for my brother? Like, no. But the white girl Vanilla from the club, she's supposed to be coming. Just lying to her, right? And Ebony's like, well, I hope, because I'm not trying to dance by myself. And Ronnie says, girl, why not? They trying to pay you? It's some ballers out there. What you need to do is get your bread before the other girls get here. And Ebony's thrown off. She's, you know, getting her red flag. She's like, but you're not dancing with me though. And Ronnie's lying, of course. She's like, look, I'm not getting no money for this either. Using, you know, those master manipulation skills from her father, you know. And Ebony tells Ronnie, like, look, I feel funny going out there by myself. And Ronnie says, look, you gonna be all right? I'm gonna be right there with you. I'm not about to let nothing happen to you. And then you hear Junior knocking at the door, rushing Ebony, like, hurry up. And Ronnie yells back, like, man, calm down. She's getting dressed. The hell is wrong with you? Then she gets back to her, you know, manipulation. She's like, look, I've always looked out for you. Don't be worried about them other girls because they wouldn't be worried about you. And Ebony asks if she has a joint. And Ronnie's like, look, you can have the rest of this drink, right? And Ebony takes that drink straight to the head, right? And she asks for another drink in 10 minutes. And Ronnie says, all right, I'm going to go out there and calm them down. And I'm going to make you another drink. And Ebony says, huh, you need to call them other girls. And Ronnie snaps. She's like, no, what you need to do is go out there and make this money and grow up. And then she walks out. And of course, Junior's listening at the damn door, right? And she's like, Junior, you act like you never seen a woman before. Calm down. You know, and Clyde walks up on Ronnie, right? And asks, you know, if she can come to the car with him. And she like, what? You don't got nothing that I want to see? Like, what you got to show me? And then Clyde pulls out the bankhead bud, right? Ronnie smells it. She's like, all right, let me go check on Ebony real quick. And Clyde like, look, she ain't even ready to dance yet. You know, we can just go smoke real quick, you know? And Clyde and Ronnie goes outside to smoke, right? Now, what happened during that next part is explained in the Junior episode, right? We do not have to touch back on that, right? But Ronnie walks back in, and she's like, what's up? Why everybody leaving? And Reggie says, hey, come on, Clyde. Let's leave. We gotta, you know, go do that. And then he tells Ronnie, oh yeah, we clearly understand. No means no. And Ronnie is confused, right? And she knocks on the door, asking for Ebony. She's like, Junior, you in there? Her sweaty creep brother opens the door with scratches on his neck, right? Zipping in his zipper up, right? And he's like, what's up, sis? You know, thanks for the party. Like everything's sweet, right? And Ronnie asks, like, where's Ebony? And Junior's like, she's asleep. Ronnie's like, huh? She's asleep? What you mean? And she walks in the room and she's like, oh my God, Junior, what did you do to her? What's wrong with you? Why did you do that to her? Because, she didn't know that her brother was capable of great. See, silly Ronnie, she thought she was the only one that was the graper in her family, right? And Junior telling Ronnie, you tripping. Like he didn't just commit the wild crime, right? And Ronnie looks at him and calls him crazy, then slaps him and tells him he messed up and to go get his stuff. And like we mentioned before, this is when she goes into save myself and my brother mode, right? She grabs her purse and they rush out of the hotel room, right? And of course, right, Diamond finds Ebony, of course, right? But the next time we see Ronnie, she's in the dressing room of the Players Club. And Ronnie's hitting a backwood, stressed. And Trix is like, don't worry, Dollar Bill said he gonna take care of it. And Ronnie says, oh, I'm not worried. I've been here all night. This is my alibi. Then Diamond walks in. And ladies and gentlemen, this is some of the worst acting in black cinema history, okay? This movie quickly turns into a blaxploitation film with wild, badly delivered lines and the points in the finger, as if she really means it. Diamond walks in, right? She's like, Ebony got graped at Junior party tonight, and you left her there, didn't you? And Ronnie says, I don't know what you're talking about. Then Diamond demands everybody to leave the room. And nobody respects it till she pulls that tool out, of course, right? And lets off a warning pop, And then everybody leaves the room, including Trix, right? And Diamond tells Blue, who's the DJ, to stand outside and make sure nobody comes in, right? And Diamond walks up like Dolomite. And I'm just going to have to cuss for this one, right? Diamond walks up like Dolomite, points that finger and says, I'ma kick your MFing ass. Like it's a Dolomite movie, right? Like I couldn't believe it, right? And Ronnie says, after I kick your butt, I may just do you how Junior did Ebony, admitting to it, right? And what proceeds to happen is a legendary cat fight in black cinema, right? It's a lot of head slamming to the glass, and Diamond is giving Ronnie the business, putting hands and feet on her, right? And Diamond says, it's women like you that make it hard for women like me. Then kicks her, right? And says, that's for Ebony. Then kicks her again and says, that's for me. Then Diamond spits on her, right? And then as Diamond, of course, leaving out, she hits Trix, of course, right? We all remember that part. And then we see Ronnie in a daze, right? And everyone is talking to her. And then the police walk up and arrest Trix and Ronnie. And Dollar Bill asks, he's like, what'd they do? And the cop says, man, this is a great charge. Unless you want to be held as the prime suspect, sit this one out, Dollar Bill. And you see the police put Ronnie and Trix in the car. And of course, right, that concludes the Ronnie story, also known as the second installment of the Players Club series. But we will be picking back up on the conclusion of the Players Club, So like and subscribe, Randumb Rants.